know it's hard for people to believe. We're in the middle of this, even though you're not in winds and rains. How bad is it now, and how much worse do they think it's going to get?
Well, Corpus Christi was a pretty quiet night, and they are beginning to get power on, and you can see it's rather calm. There are still rain bands coming through, and they expect a lot of rain here over the next several days. But about a half hour, 40 minutes in that direction was Rockport. That's where we spent much of our day yesterday. It received serious damage. Power lines down. There were some buildings that had collapsed, and there was flooding. We drove our way in there with little effort. Coming out was a different story, though. There were flooded passages there where you begin to move the vehicle, and there's no stopping now, and you're not sure whether you will get through. Flooding is amazingly deceptive. There were huge rain bands that would come through, and suddenly the street before you would be flooded. I think that's what folks right now in Houston are dealing with, is how much more will there be? Can I drive through it? And that's why they're telling people, if you can, to shelter into place there. But the hurricane is one thing. You can feel the wind. You can see the trees whipping around. You can see things flying at you. You recognize the danger. But flooding is amazing. The rain will come, and suddenly the street that was uncovered a moment ago is now covered, and your options for getting out may have narrowed. That's what folks around here are going to be facing, as this system you showed is essentially just lingering over southern Texas, and it is producing a lot of rain, and as the sprinkles begin here again in Corpus Christi.
Are you seeing cleanup efforts stalling a bit because of this both flash flood fear and because of actual flooding?
I saw very little, frankly, in the way of cleanup right now. I think yesterday we saw a lot of Coast Guard and National Guard helicopters doing search and rescues, I think, in areas that were cut off toward the islands. I've seen very little in terms of recovery. We saw a few power trucks being staged. But, yeah, the issue is, is it over? And it really isn't. The high winds part of the hurricane part is over, but the flooding is going to make it extraordinarily difficult for them to get their vehicles in and begin stringing lines and all the things you typically see after a hurricane passes.
Clayton, these roads are treacherous out here, and the message from the officials are stay put. Don't get on these roads because you simply cannot go anywhere. We're on Highway 288, I-10 shut down. We showed you that shot. 45 shut down. We're trying to get to the southeastern part of Houston, which is absolutely being besieged by flooding. That is where hundreds of rescues are going on. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez tweeting just minutes ago, seeing many rescues for South Bell, Pasadena, Gulf Freeway. Difficult to get to everyone right away. Hang tight. There is a sense of desperation here this morning, and as you see, we are having trouble navigating. We tried to get off into some of the residential areas to avoid the highway closures because, as we pointed out yesterday, the low-lying underpasses is what shuts things down, and we nearly got this vehicle stuck at least 3 times. The water coming up over our running boards, and we're in a full-size large SUV. Right now, we're just sort of going by our GPS, and it's showing. I'm trying to bring that up for you. It just shows red everywhere. We're coming up now. We can see, Dave, if you can show us, it looks like another road closure. We were talking to some of the officers that are stopped on the road like this, one telling me that we're really not going to be able to go anywhere. We find ourselves in the same situation that residents are finding themselves trying to get off. We're having to get off on this exit. We're reading the signs here coming up on us. Freeway closed. Let's see, high water, all lanes closed. This city is becoming paralyzed, and the flash flood warning on my phone that just blew up moments ago before we got on the air here is telling us that this is going to last at least until 5 p.m. with forecasters saying we are in for several days of this. This Highway 288 looks literally like a river down here as we continue to work our way to the southeastern part of Houston. For any of our viewers that are in the southeastern part of Houston, you simply have to stay inside, and our emergency services that we're listening to on Twitter and talking to the police that we just talked to are saying that their guys are overwhelmed. They're absolutely trying to respond to everyone, and they simply can't do it. we're not sure where we are now other than just navigating ourselves to the southeastern part, guys.
It's amazing, too. I'm seeing a lot of lights on in that region, too, and that's encouraging. What about cell communication? And I know we're out of time here, but just are people able to get contact with the emergency services?
That's a great question. You know, so far, the communication has been good, and in listening really to just the radio, AM radio guys that go around the clock, we hear that the power outages have not been severe, but that's yet. Will that change as this continues? One would think we probably will. You can see here, by the way, we're just hitting water. And as we hit this and you see the water popping up around us, you just don't know because it's dark out here. And the chance that we get stuck in 3 feet of water is how it happens very, very quickly out here. But, yeah, to answer your question, the power seems to be in. Communication so far has been strong. And certainly a bad situation will only become worse if that changes, because as we have shown you now this morning, social media, Twitter, seems to be the lifeline that so many people are reaching out. I can't tell you how many messages have been sent to the sheriff who is overwhelmed with Twitter. We're getting into a situation now, AJ, let's not make sure we don't get stuck. You look down these residential roads, which I can't show you that it's just a river. We're probably right now, hold on one second. Let me just open my door for a second to show our viewers the situation we are in.
How deep is that water you're in right now?
That water, this water right here, I'm just going to show you, this is the situation we are in right here. This is the situation. I am literally swimming right here in what this is. It's probably a few inches from our vehicle. I tell you what, we're going to back out of this situation right now before our vehicle becomes stranded. This is what is happening to emergency vehicles as well in the city. These are rescue vehicles that are designed specifically for this purpose. We're hearing about them getting stuck all over the southeastern part, Pasadena, Gulf Freeway area of Houston. And this is becoming a bad situation.
Hey, Griff, please be safe.